Hey everyone, it is late at night and I am Norman. For tonight's State of the Collection video, we're going to be looking at my swatches. So let us begin. Okay, so my swatch collection generally doesn't change a whole lot. A lot of these pieces I've had for quite a while, but I have had a couple of gift swatches recently, and you've already seen those, so when I get to those I'll probably be brief with those, but because they're gift watches, I included them in that video. But they usually hang out with my swatches, so speaking of gift watches, this was actually given to me by my cousin. He had found it in a haul of other random items, knew that I liked watches, and yeah, this is a Pop Swatch. Back in the day I owned one of these. It was a black dial with white indices on there, probably a Bauhaus style one. I don't recall exactly what it looked like. But I've cleaned up this crystal a little bit. I have yet to buy a battery for it. It would be cool to find a more subdued strap. At some point I'll probably get a different Pop Swatch, one that has partial skeletonization like this, but black all around this edge. But these are fun. You can actually attach them to your clothing because this pops out. You put this behind your shirt and then you pop this back in. And yes, we actually did that way back in the day. I own 3 new Gents swatches, so these are the large size swatches. I believe they're over 40 millimeters if I remember correctly. And I have to apologize, a lot of these need batteries. At some point I'll purchase a big package of batteries and deal with all of them. But here's a size comparison. This is the standard Gents, and I believe those are 34 millimeter, and this is the new Gents. I bought this back before I had gone little, so at that point in time, even though I liked the old school swatches, I wanted a big one. So it's kind of the jelly style. I have it on this custom strap that I purchased on Etsy. Being all dark like this, sometimes it's difficult to read the time, but it looks really cool. Here's another of my new Gents, and yes, it looks very similar, except that this one is even darker, so the hands hide even better. So the ring on this one is not silver like the previous one, and bits of the movement are black as well. I have this one on this custom strap. And I think I got this strap before I found my absolute favorite Swatch strap. Or actually, I think being a new Gents, you can't even get that style for these. That's what it was. So this was as close as I could come to that. In a few minutes, you'll see what strap I'm talking about. This one has a black crown. The final new Gents swatch that I have is this one here. This was a gift from my wife. I think it has issues with the date wheel though. If I remember correctly, when you're setting the time, it just kind of like clicks, almost like you're at midnight and it's trying to turn to the next date, but it doesn't. Unfortunately, these are sealed shut watches. They are not designed to be repairable, so there's nothing I can do about that. Just wait for it to get so bad the watch doesn't work anymore. But it's a cool design. It's a day date, but these are pretty large now for me. And one of my most recent swatches. This was given to me as a gift, and I wasn't sure if I was going to do a State of the Collection on the Swatch watches. So this one made an appearance in my gift watches video. But super cool Bauhaus design. And this is a standard Gents. All the rest of them are. Another watch that was in the gift watch video. This is one of the Ultra Slims, as I mentioned in that video. And I got this for my wife for Christmas. I've recently purchased a translucent strap, so it's not totally clear like this. I'm hoping that it's softer, like more flexible. That's the only downside with these clear straps, is they're very stiff and there is the potential for discoloration. But I think that a translucent would actually look really good with this watch. And I kind of like my straps to be a bit more visible when the watch is on my wrist, but we'll see how that looks when it arrives. I think it's about a month out for that. This swatch was also a gift for my wife. Unfortunately, the battery is dead in it. I removed the battery, so it's not sitting inside the watch, but I need to get a replacement battery for it. As you can see, it's just like the black dial variant, but it is a light dial with a blue case and strap. And this watch went with me to Florida shortly after I got it. We took a vacation there and went to Universal. So there's some good times in this watch. This is also a newer swatch to me. I bought this after seeing one of Illuminating Watches videos on swatches, and this was one of them that was featured in that video, and it just looks so cool. And this is my favorite swatch strap. I remember these from when I was young. I had a swatch that had this on it, and it just looks super cool. Now, most of my swatches are actually vintage, neo-vintage, so they're the originals, and this is one of them, and unfortunately, you have to watch out for the battery hatch problem. I've discussed this in other videos, so I'll be brief here, but if you're buying an older swatch, you need to look at the photos closely. If there isn't a photo of the back of the swatch, request one, because you have to watch out for this little bit of plastic that the battery hatch slides under. This particular one here near the strap cracks and breaks off when these watches get really old. And if just that one comes off, that is just enough for the battery hatch to lift up enough for the battery to lose contact. And I've also mentioned this in other videos, but I'm going to find a way to try and rebuild that. Right now I have some Gorilla Glue that I purchased that I think will be thick enough to kind of build up a little mound there. And of course I have to deal with trying to get the hatch out of there. And yeah, so I'll be trying it out on a swatch that I can spare. And then this will have to be held down until it's done forming. But if I can't come up with a solution to that, unfortunately, amazing swatches like my Turquoise Bays are just bracelets. But for now, this one is still ticking. But when that battery hatch clasp, or whatever you want to call it, sleeve that it goes into, once that one breaks off, it's kind of intermittent. Sometimes these watches will tick, other times the battery will lose its connection. I think I've even tried stuffing like bits of paper on the other side of the battery to hold it down more, but that wasn't enough to fix it even. And that would put more pressure on the battery hatch, which could cause the other little connector sleeves to break. So yeah. By the way, if you need the reference for any of these swatches, just let me know in the comments below, and either give me a timestamp or a description of the watch and I will track down that reference for you. I do not have any of them memorized. Sorry about that. Okay, so when I had gone little, I decided to get a classic Gents size version of that new Gents swatch that I own. So I bought this one, and look at how clear that case is. This is an original, and yes, the battery hatch piece is cracked. I should probably super glue that now, before it chips off. But I purchased this back when Squiggly was a website, and they had tons of classic swatches, originals. And what was amazing about that site is the prices were good. Some of them were really inexpensive, but they looked brand new, like this one does. Clear cases were clear. Everything but the battery hatch was just impeccable. Unfortunately, they later changed the name of their website, and as of the last time I checked, they had 0 swatches. So it appears that whatever stock they had of original swatches has all been sold off. But at least Swatch is still making new watches with these cases, and some of the designs they come up with are in the spirit of their original designs, just fun and artsy. They still make clear case ones. The line that my ultra thin is from is a whole lineup of clear swatches, so you can get new ones, and then you don't have to worry about the battery hatch for a long time. I mean, these are from the 80s and 90s, so you'll have decades before that starts to become an issue. And they've redesigned the battery hatch just a little, so there's more material around where that piece normally breaks. So those might last even longer than these before having an issue. Or perhaps there never will be a battery hatch issue with those ones, so that's pretty cool. You can see that design change in this one. So this is a new swatch, and see that opening has been shifted off to the side there. So near the lugs, it's all material there. I feel like this design will last a lot longer than the original. I also have a mystery dial swatch. I inherited this one, and it looks great. There's a date window way up here and a bubble over it, which is pretty wild. This one just looks so clean, especially for a swatch, and just looks really nice. Here it is on the wrist. Yeah. This swatch is really cool. I have a jelly swatch, and this is another Squiggly purchase. You can tell by that clear case. It's slightly discolored, I think, but you could barely even tell. If it is at all, maybe just a touch. But it essentially looks new. And this is another favorite strap style of mine, the ribbed. These look really cool. And I believe the original Turquoise Bays shipped on a gray one of these. One of the Turquoise Bay watches that I purchased had its original strap. And you can tell because the plastic had started to decay and it was sticky to the touch, and had to get rid of that. But yeah, the hatch on this is cracked. So I'll have to address that now before it breaks off. But the jellies are amazing. And last up we have what is probably my favorite swatch design of all time, the Turquoise Bay. I also like the ladies' blue bay, but they didn't make those in Gents sizes. They were only lady sizes. Those have a blue crystal and a pink seconds hand. I actually own 2 of these. This is the lighter one, so there's less discoloration in the case. And when I purchased this one, I believe I even asked the seller about the battery hatch and was assured that it was in great shape because my other one had an issue with it. As you can see, this one is not in great shape. It is actually cracked, but it's still there, so I may be able to just add some super glue to that. But I think even that is enough to where this one will intermittently stop. So once there is a battery in here, you can see this lifting up over here. Since it's not completely broken off, I may be able to fix that with some glue. We will find out. I think this will probably be my experimental swatch because I have two of them, even though it's my favorite design. I actually like this particular one more. It's more discolored in the case, and I feel like that just makes it look better. It kind of brings out the turquoise crystal more. So ultimately, this is the Turquoise Bay that I want to have fixed, so the hatch stays on and I can actually wear it to tell time. I put this on a black ribbed strap because, again, I feel like black brings out the colors of this swatch a lot more than the original gray. I think I had trouble finding one that resembled its original, so I went with black. And when I put it on this swatch, was happy with the aesthetic. It looks really cool. Here's that one on the wrist. And this crystal looks so amazing, especially if you're wearing it outside and sunlight hits it. It is such a cool color. And such a cool idea. I feel like watch brands should play with tinted crystals more. Brilliant. So there you have it, the crazy amount of swatches that I own. Thanks for watching.